And Mike, don't ever say it can never happen to you. When you mention something specifically that actually happened to me on this last sailing, you mentioned the bus breaking down. And myself and the chairman or member of our board, he might be chairman of our board, our first CEO, Tom McAlpine, and I, and about 22 other people, small group of about 20 of us in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We're going out to Peggy's Cove. And it's a good little 48 to 55-minute drive from the port in Halifax out to Peggy's Cove. Our bus broke down. Yes, it did. And fortunately, we had a great driver. He got us off the road at an ice cream shop. And so as we waited for the next bus, we were eating ice cream. But guess what? The bus that they sent to pick us up also broke down on the way to get us. So we were out there for an hour.
Welcome back to another episode of Sailor Sessions, the podcast where we set sail into all things Virgin Voyages, from insider tips, behind-the-scenes stories, and ways to make your next voyage unforgettable. I'm your host, Mike Robb, and tonight we're diving into one of my favorite parts of cruising, shore things, or for those who don't know, excursions. Those off-the-ship adventures that bring a destination to life. And today I'm joined once again by my friend and frequent guest, Tracy Aldridge. Together, we're going to talk about the unique ways Virgin Voyages reimagines excursions, because shore things are not your typical bus tours. Whether you're dreaming of rum tastings in San Juan, a hidden beach in Bimini, or a sunrise hike in Mykonos, Virgin has designed experiences that match the same vibe as the ships themselves. Fresh, fun, and made for sailors who want more than the ordinary. Tracy, welcome back to the podcast, and welcome back to the U.S., because I know you've been on a sailing a Brilliant Lady. How was it?
Thanks, Mike. It was great, but you are right. I have the post-vacation fog, if you will. So yeah, it's been a few days since I got back from beautiful Brilliant, and it was a 13-day amazing sailing from Portsmouth to New York with some great stops along the way. And maybe we'll talk more about that when we talk about shore experiences. But I was just blown away. Every time I get on our ships, I know I'm a fanboy and I work there, but it exceeds my expectations. And yeah, thanks for mentioning it. But we'll talk more about that.
All right. Yeah. And again, thank you so much for inviting me up last Thursday.
Yeah.
Had an amazing time checking out the newest ship in the fleet. And it was just New York itself, beautiful background for the ship.
It's the way I like to see New York. I don't like necessarily to be in New York, but it's great to see it from the water there. And we're so glad you could join us, because we kind of made that an exclusive event. There wasn't a lot of first mates invited to come and go, but we only invited those folks like yourself who we know, deserve that opportunity and who are going to make the best of that opportunity to see the beautiful new ship and to share that with, amazing folks around the country who might be interested in booking and learning more about Virgin. So we appreciate you as an amazing first mate.
Thank you. Well, let's jump into tonight's topic, which is shore things, which is Virgin's version of excursions, as other cruisers might know them as. So let's first talk about what makes shore things different, because I know these aren't your typical cookie cutter cruise tours like you might find on some other cruise lines.
Yeah, just following along the theme, of who we are as a brand. We didn't want to do the same thing that other cruise lines do, just like we don't want to do the same thing with our food, with our entertainment, with the ships themselves, with our experience on board. So, gosh, all those things are different. And we wanted to make the experience off the ship equally different. And it really ties in again to who Mr. Branson is and the way he likes to present and explore destinations as an individual. He's one of those persons who's like, don't give me the cookie cutter tour that everyone else gets. Let's figure out a way to immerse ourselves in a destination, getting to know the food, the people, the culture, if you will, in such a way that you're not intruding into their area, because everybody hates tourists, but people love visitors. And that's really what we want to try to be as we get off that ship. We want to be immersed as a visitor, not a tourist. And so we'll talk more about the different styles of shore experiences that we have as we get into this. But that's the key defining point of a shore experience with Virgin, is that we want to see the true essence of a destination through their food, through their culture, through the local, obviously sights and sounds and smells and tastes. And that's what I love about the way Virgin does everything. It's not the way other people do it. And we'll talk more about some of that in specifics here as we go.
Yeah, one of the things I think as a first mate and as a travel advisor booking other luxury style trips, a lot of my clients and sailors are looking for that immersive experience. They're not just there to check off a box and say, I've been to this destination. They truly want to experience the food or the wine or the culture, the heritage, the history. And I know with Virgin's Shore Things, that's part of the thing is they do have small groups available, and it's generally in partnership with locally led tour guides as well that have been vetted for a lot of different things, not just safety, but also sustainability and being able to really have that immersive experience. And I think that's really important for today's traveler because after COVID, we've kind of gone from just checking off a box and seeing things and being places to actually wanting to experience that place in its realistic form, like you said, without a bunch of tourists around.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the DNA of who we're about is getting beyond just a numbers game. It's getting into each individual and taking that experience to the next level based on because every person who goes on a shore experience may have a different, a different desire of what they want to, receive from that. So we have to keep it broad, but we also have to give those opportunities to plug in where you want to plug in, and that's what I love about the options that we provide once you get to take a look at the shore experiences in every part of the world that we go to.
Well, before we jump into my personal favorites and yours, or some of the ones you've experienced, especially over in Europe on some of your sailings, let's talk about how sailors can actually book that experience. And there's a couple different ways. First of all, they open up after final payment date, uh, and you can book it either on your computer via your account. You can book it through a first mate, or you can book it through the app as well, which is what I've done for my upcoming October trips. I just went on the app and was able to book one of the experiences.
That's really the easiest way to do it. It should all be uploaded into the app. But even before your 120 days, if you want to kind of start planning, obviously we recommend that they reach out to you, sailors, that you can provide them a list of shore experiences that will be available in a generic form per each destination. We have them on our website too. There's a great section at the bottom that just says shore experiences, and folks can explore that using your link as well. And so it's good to start planning ahead, kind of looking at, maybe what your budget might be and how long each shore experience would last. And the highlights are listed there. So multiple ways you can start planning well in advance. And then once that 120-day window opens up, you can start booking those and locking them in. Definitely.
Let's see here. So another question I do get a lot is, you know, with the promos or maybe some of the things that I'm giving away or other or first mates are, where they're giving some sailor loot, extra sailor loot to those who book through them, is a lot of times people are like, can I use my sailor loot via the app pre? And I'm always saying no, unfortunately you can't, because the credit actually isn't credited your account until you've checked in and you're on the ship. And so that's a key distinction where you got to prepay it. But if you're willing to risk the possibility of maybe something selling out, you can always wait and use that once you are on board, though.
Correct. Once you're on board, once you're actually connected to the ship's Wi-Fi in the terminal before you even step on board, you can actually start booking that way, and using your loot will show up then on your app, and you can start using it that way. Plus, we have a very generous cancellation policy. It's 48 hours prior to, you'll get all your money back, and so really anything beyond the second day of the sailing, once you're on board, if you have to cancel or change and move things around that you maybe booked in advance, it's okay if you want to cancel once you're on board and book something else, see what might be available. So we try to be as flexible as possible, but you're correct. The sailor loot is not actual money until you're on the ship's, accounting system. And that means you have to be on board and checked into the sailing. And then you can start using it to apply for for your shore experiences. But most people, if you get that, a couple $100, whatever it might be, if you don't use it for your shore experiences, you can use it to offset extra bar tab. You can offset spa treatments. There's multiple ways that you can use that loot. You're not gonna lose it. I
Yeah.
promise you that.
Squid ink, shopping.
Yeah, yeah. Spa treatments. Yeah.
Yeah. Salon, you get shave and haircut.
Yep, I did that twice on my last sailing. And I got to tell you, not to be off topic here, the barber on our brilliant lady, his name is Siv. He was fantastic. Man, he was really, really good. So I would like to go see him again in a week or so to get this fixed again. But he was incredible. I was really blown away by Siv on
Awesome.
Brilliant Lady. Little plug for Siv there if you get a chance to sail with him.
And if I can find a picture, I will post it here.
Yeah,
So,
I think I got one on my Facebook page. So go grab that one. I'll shoot it to you too. Yeah.
all right. So let's talk about some of our personal favorites or must-dos. And for me, I've got a couple. So I'll share one. We'll jump over to you. So we just go back and forth. But there's two initial ones for Bimini that I really like. If you're just looking to relax, they're under the relax section. And we'll talk about the different categories here in a few minutes. But the first one is a Bimini Lagoon Cabana, because there are several different cabanas available there. The cabana rentals start at $650, but you can get up to 4 sailors in there. So it's under 1 sailor when you book it, but everybody can split it however you want after the fact. But it's for the 8 hours that you're there. It includes the first drinks on Virgin effectively with up to $100. And for the cabanas, the specific cabanas at the lagoon, they're right next to the DJ booth, so that when the party kicks off at 1:00, you're ready to go right there. You can enjoy the party, see the craziness that happens right there from your cabana and not really have to leave it. But so you know what else is included for anyone who has not been to Bimini? It includes adjustable daybed, side table, 2 cushy lounge chairs or beach chairs, a drink cooler, and a coffee table. It also comes with delight amenities, full day use of that cabana, as well as a dedicated service team. And like I said, it's the first round of drinks.
And it's the best people watching anywhere
Yes.
on the beach club there. I mean, I just love to chill in those cabanas by the lagoon there, and you see everything happening in the pool and around the bar area, and the music is great. It's just the perfect spot. You can get out of the sun, you can get in the sun. It's just got everything you could want for a full day there on the beach at the beach club, and they treat you very well. The servers come by, they make sure everyone in the cabana is well taken care of because they know you spent your hard-earned money on a nice place there, and you can order some extra bevies to put in that little cooler for later on if you want to. So it's a really well done experience. It surely is.
And most important for anyone who doesn't know about Bimini is you can use your wristband to still pay for things on there.
Still have mine on, yeah. Still have mine from the brilliant sailing on. I go around the house trying to open doors and it doesn't work. And I asked my wife to give me a cocktail earlier tonight and said, asked if she could take her cell phone and scan it. Yeah, it doesn't work. She's like, honey, you are totally out of bar tab here at home. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like those videos I see all the time. It's like you go from the buffet and like the galley and walking around and having dinner at Pink Agave. Then you come back and you're like, I've got to cook my own food. I've got to serve my own drinks. And
I had to make my own mashed potatoes tonight. Yeah.
The crew is what really makes Virgin a sailing for me.
I got to tell you, Mike,
Thursday.
Yeah, we've had this conversation in the past, and I just got off that longer sailing. It was 13 days, and I cannot endorse longer sailings anymore now that I've been on one, because it's not just the fact that you can relax and just unpack and unwind and not worry about your schedule being kind of crazy and hectic and get this restaurant, that restaurant. On a longer sailing, you can just, hey, I'll eat here tomorrow, here today. But the crew gets to know you and you get to know them. And I have like 20 new Facebook friends and people that I can just reach out to, and they know what I like to eat. And when I go into a certain bar, it's like, hey, Tracy, skinny margarita. And I'm like, yep, bring it on. So that's such a good feeling. It's almost like being on Cheers, if you're old enough to remember Cheers. And when everyone walks in, Norm, you just feel like you're part of the family on longer sailing. So I know we're talking about shore experiences, and shore experiences, you get more options on longer sailings. but definitely consider going, more than just a 5-night, 6-night. Go on up to 7, 10, 12-night sailings with us. You'll love to get to know that crew. And you're right, that they do make the difference.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing the Greece sailing in Croatia next May, so and we've got a circle for that. So anyone's interested in joining us, April and I will be on there. And we get enough sailors together. We're going to have some parties and have good time together. But even just on Thursday, just this quick side note is I was at the Loose Cannon. That's because I love the rum, and Ivan was nailing out those new fashioned romance drinks, which were delicious. But he was like, what else do you want? I was like, I'll do a rum and coke because I couldn't do too many of those. And he was just handing them over. He's like, you want another? I was like, sure, let's do it. And he started to get to know me. And then I came back a little later before I left the ship, and he's like, hey, Mike, do you want another one? And I was like, let's go. And it just in that short amount of time, he knew what I wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was sad because I was like, I want Ivan on my ship,
Yeah.
So,
but it won't take long. Even on the ship you'll be on, as soon as they see a pattern and they get to know you, it's like, hey, there's the skinny margarita, there's a rum and coke guy, whatever it might be. Yeah, I love that about our crew.
Yeah,
they do a great job with it. Surely do.
So jumping back into shore things, another Bimini one that I think is a special treat if you're looking to celebrate a milestone birthday, retirement, heck, even I know there's divorce parties these days. Whatever it is you're looking to celebrate, the Mermaid Hideaway would be a great option. It is actually, I don't think it was still being set up or wasn't available when we were there in June of last year. But we saw things over there, but it just wasn't open to us. But they start at $1,000, but you can do up to 10 sailors. It includes an Airstream air-conditioned lounge, a deck, games, cozy seating, and $200 in beverage credit so you can drink during the day. And the best part is if you got 10 mates that you want to get together with or girlfriends and you want to have a good party and celebrate, you just split it. That's $100 a person. You get your own private little area. It's really fantastic.
It's a great place to kind of have as a check-in if you want to do all kind of activities there at the beach club, but everybody come back and check in at the Airstream. It's in a perfect location, just right behind the DJ booth and the bar area at the end of the right-hand pool. And just so you know, that's where Mr. Branson hangs out when he's at the beach club. That's really his private Airstream that when he's not there, you can pretend to be Mr. Branson if you want and use that space. And it's definitely a great value. I mean, you get a lot of the money back in the drinks that you get, but also, like you said, $100 a person for 10 people and for a whole day. It's definitely worth that. And people walk by and look at you like, that must be a VIP. I mean, they don't just let anybody, use that. So definitely recommend it.
Pro tip from a first mate: if you want that, you better book it when shore things open up because it will go. I think on my sailing, it went within 20 minutes.
Yeah. People jump on that really quickly. Surely do. Yeah.
So, and then my last one for Bimini is one for the daring folks out there as another one of the different categories of shore things. And that is the shipwreck and shark snorkel. So it's a 3.5 hour, you get to go out, you snorkel around a shipwreck, you're around reef sharks and nurse sharks. Obviously there's an expert guide there as well. But they're feeding the sharks a bit to get them to come around. You get to swim with them. You see tropical fish. You get to have a good time. And we'll talk in the next section after we talk about our favorites, what each of the categories mean, because they mean different things. But this is one that I really like for those who are looking for a little adventure and maybe want to get outside of their comfort zone, especially because you hear the word shark and everybody kind of is like, oh, they think of Jaws.
Be careful feeding them, Mike. Yeah. Look, I got a little too close last time. Yeah, I like to have fun with that. But no one's ever gotten hurt. Let me just clear the air. No, the sharks don't try to bite humans. No. It's safety. Safety is our first priority. So, but just to say that you were this close to it, one of these amazing sharks is kind of cool. We do the swim with the stingrays there too, which a lot of people like. I'm a big Steve Irwin fan. Love watching him, and so it's just thinking about the stingrays. But there's no danger there either. We're very safe with the stingrays and the sharks. And the thing that really, Mr. Branson's big on this. is we are doing as much as we can to maintain their habitat. We're not there to
Hmm.
interrupt their habitat. And that's really a big part of who we are too. We want to make sure that the animals are the first priority, along with the safety of our sailors. And then those two things come together to make a beautiful experience that you should remember for a lifetime. So yeah, I like that we have some of those daring, fun things that you could see Mr. Branson out there doing as well.
Yeah.
Swimming with those sharks. Yeah.
Mhm. And pro tip there as well, as I always recommend in my packing list to my sailors, you pack reef safe sunscreen because it is important. Some of the sunscreens that are out there are not reef safe and they leave like an oily film, and eventually
Right.
they can deposit onto the coral and ruin the coral or the fish or that type of stuff. So definitely one of the things we want to keep. It's one of the things I love about travel is being able to go somewhere, experience something new. But being a backpacker and a hiker, I also believe in the leave no trace principle. And that is you go explore the ocean, explore things, but leave it better than you found it, or at least leave it the same way you did. Don't leave trash. Don't wear certain things into the water that might hurt the living creatures in there. By no means, am I running around hugging trees, but at the same time, I really do love our oceans. I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles right next to the ocean. And so for me, the water is very important. And it's one of the causes we have through Sea and Sun is we donate every year a portion of our commissions to a sea turtle habitat down in Florida to save sea turtles. And that's really important to us that we keep our oceans clean.
Yeah, that's great. That's really important to us as a brand too. Is that we make our living off of the sea and the ocean and all the wonderful places we can visit. So it's really our biggest impetus is to make sure that we take care of that. And sometimes too, when you're doing a short experience, Mike, I was doing one. What city was I in on this last sailing? We were in the Azores. We're getting off to do our tour, which I'll let you speak about here in just a few minutes. But I saw all the crew members coming off the ship as well, and they were all wearing a red shirt that says crew on the front, and then it said Impact Squad. So oftentimes while we're in port and the sailors are doing a shore experience, our crew that have the day off are taking their personal time to do something in that port to help with ocean cleanup or something for the local people. I mean, it's a cool thing called the Impact Squad. And I've done it as a sales team member too. In Bimini, we've actually been out and took our free day and actually cleaned up the beach and picked up some trash and things like that, because that's just part of who Virgin is too. And we want to make sure we're taking care of these beautiful places we're visiting. And that's kind of cool to see that kind of thing happen. I think there are even opportunities in certain places for our sailors to participate in activities which are also helping to replenish or help with damaged areas and things like that. You've seen a lot of opportunities that Mr. Branson's out there doing that as well, and oftentimes sailors have the option to participate too. So we want to
Okay.
give back as much as we can. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Now you've given me an idea to check with you about what I can do in either Key West or Bimini.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Let's see if there's any impact squad activities going on your sailing. It's not every sailing, but there often are times that you could possibly participate. So that's something to kind of look into. Yeah.
awesome. A different type of shore thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so give us one of your favorites that you've done, especially maybe on one of your med sailings or even this recent sailing on Brilliant Lady.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, right after Resilient was launched, I had the fortunate opportunity to do a sailing in the Adriatic that you're going to be doing some here next year, of course. And in Dubrovnik, we had the chance to go out and do what we call a homemade and heartfelt exclusive dinner experience. And it's a small group experience. I think there's less than 15 of us. We loaded up in a van. And we drove out of town a little piece into the countryside, and we're just, and of course, our leader is telling us about where we're going, what we're going to be doing, what we're seeing along the way. The history of the area was fantastic. And we pull up into this farm. And I'm thinking, man, there's animals, there's a vegetable garden, there's all kind of stuff here, and we get off, and the family greets us out there, and it's like you're part of their family. They come up and hug you like they've known you your whole life. You're like, I don't know who you are, but this is amazing. And they explain to you, you're going to be here for about 3 hours. And in that time, A, you're going to go pick some vegetables right now. And B, you're going to go help us clean that stuff. And C, we're going to actually work together using our hands and make your dinner together. And in between, we're going to be having some grappa. You know what grappa is? It's basically a wine that's flavored with fruit, local fruit. And we're going to be telling stories and we're going to be visiting the animals. It's just like, it was the best kind of Croatian family reunion I could ever experience, with people I had no history of or no knowledge of from the past. But when I left there after a fantastic meal at the end of this thing, I didn't want to leave. I was like, I'll miss the ship. Let the ship leave. I'm going to stay here with you people. This is my new Croatian family. And so that's the kind of experience that we try to have, with everything. Like you said earlier, there's different options. This is what we call a cultural experience, a culture type thing where we're actually meeting real local people who really want to take the time to explain to us Americans what it's like to grow up and work and live on a farm just outside of Croatia, outside of Dubrovnik in Croatia. So I left there just thinking, A, the food was amazing. It was fresh. It was just like an hour ago, we picked that. Now we're eating it. But more importantly, family is not necessarily just the people you're related to. Sometimes
Yeah.
family is the people that care about you enough to open their hearts and their homes and their lives to you. And I won't ever forget that experience there. And definitely highly recommend anything that you can do along those lines.
We'll see if that one's available to us when we
Yeah,
sail
yeah. See if
next
you
year.
can do that because it is a small group. So you can't, always, if you got a larger group sailing with you, you can't always do it like 30 people. But if you're just a 4 or 5, 6 of you, maybe you can definitely jump in there and get to know that. Now, just the recent transatlantic sailing I did, one of our ports actually was changed due to some weather issues, Mike. And we had planned to visit Dublin. And so I had been to Dublin before, and we were going to do some fun shore experiences in Dublin. But obviously, we had to change that. And so I had not planned on what we were going to see in a place that I'd never heard of. La Cuna in northwest Spain was substituted. And of course, the ship sent us a list of opportunities once we knew that there was a change in the itinerary, and we started scrolling through. And if you just don't know what to do, take the general experience tour. I like to say what we say is like the introduction to this particular place, and that's what my wife and I did because we had no idea of what this place was. And the guides that we hire, and you mentioned this earlier, are so knowledgeable. They're very well vetted, and I think we might have talked about this in a previous episode. I used to be a tour guide. That was my starting point in this industry 30 years ago. I was a fake it till you make it tour guide. Basically, I made stuff up if I had to, right? They don't hire people like me. They actually hire vetted, intelligent professionals who've actually passed a test and know what they're doing. When someone asks, how old is that whatever, they actually know the answer instead of me saying, well, it could be 2,000 years old. It could be last week. I don't know. So these people are fantastic at answering questions, giving you the full essence of that destination. And so I did not know this, but one of the oldest lighthouses in all of Europe and maybe all of the world is called the Hercules Lighthouse. It's 2,000 years old. And we got to go out there and walk around it. And it's really a tall, beautiful structure. The Romans built it, of course. And that was part of the tour that we did in this destination that we really could not plan for. And I'm so glad I did it. A lot of folks said, well, we're just going to walk around town, and then it's fine. But
Yeah.
getting that immersive local, knowledgeable, amazing tour guide gave us the history, and I'll definitely remember that stop for many years. Got great photographs. I mean, they just know where to take you. They know what time you should be there. They give you an idea of, where's the best angle for pictures and all that kind of stuff. They just did a great job.
Well, I think on that, why is it important to book the shore thing through Virgin instead of a third party? It's obviously the guarantees. If your bus breaks down or your shuttle or your little van, whatever you're in, let's say you're doing a small tour of 10 people and the van breaks down, well, the ship's got to wait for you if it's a Virgin tour. But if it's a third party, ABC Inc. tour, the ship does not need to wait for you. And we've seen in the news over the last year, several people being left behind in Alaska, in, I think, South Africa, in Europe, in the Caribbean, on several different islands, because they're not even pier runners at this point. They don't even get to the pier. The ship is way out already. You can barely see it by the time they get there.
And Mike, don't ever say it can never happen to you. When you mention something specifically that actually happened to me on this last sailing, you mentioned the bus breaking down. And myself and the chairman or member of our board, he might be chairman of our board, our first CEO, Tom McAlpine, and I, and about 22 other people, small group of about 20 of us in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We're going out to Peggy's Cove. And it's a good little 48 to 55-minute drive from the port in Halifax out to Peggy's Cove. Our bus broke down. Yes, it did. And fortunately, we had a great driver. He got us off the road at an ice cream shop. And so as
there
we
you go.
waited for the next bus, we were eating ice cream. But guess what? The bus that they sent to pick us up also broke down. So we were out there for an hour and a half. Third time's a charm. The third bus they finally sent did pick us up. The tour guide the whole time was in communication with the ship. And that's the thing. You know, this was a Virgin sponsored activity. They're talking to them and saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a change, whatever. And because of that little bit of a wait, they gave us A, all of our money back, and B, we still got to see 80% of what we were planning to see that day anyway. The tour guide did a great job of moving the schedule around. We still got out to Halifax, had plenty of time. I'm sorry, to Peggy's Cove. But just the point is, yes, it can happen to you. And I will promise you, if you're like me and your middle name is Murphy, last name Murphy too, if I chose a shore experience not sponsored by the cruise line, the bus would break down, and then the second bus would also break down, and then the third bus would break down trying to get me back to the ship. And they will leave you. We definitely will if you're not doing something hosted and sponsored by the cruise line. So it will happen.
And there's literally only 2 islands in the Caribbean that we know where we've done things that are third party, and we've done it like 5 or 6 times. So we know that they get us back, but still there is that risk that if something was to happen, our ship is going to sail and we'll have to catch up with it. But I also tell a lot of sailors, especially in Alaska, where most shore things are a little bit more expensive in Alaska than other parts of the world. But some people will be like, well, I found this same type of excursion for, $25 less per person. I understand it's a $50 savings. And for most, for some people that is enough to consider whether or not they do the shore excursion or not. But I suggest $50 is not worth the savings of being left behind, because you will spend about 10 times that, if not more, trying to get back and catch up to the ship if you can at all, because especially Alaska, there's not a place always to get to where there's a road. Sometimes you got to say seaplane and this and that. And if you've left everything on board, you're, or in worst case, if you're in a foreign destination, you don't have your passport, you might be able to go to the local consulate or whatnot and get an emergency passport, but those are typically only good to go home with. So another reason, whether you ever talk to me or not as a sailor and want to book through us or someone else, please use a travel advisor, because they can help guide you on all of these questions and guide you to what's the best. So whether it's me or someone else out there that you know or have heard of, please talk to them about it, because it is super important from a shore excursions perspective. Because if you are left behind and you've booked with me, I can help navigate you. I can help book air flights. I can help you with the hotel reservation. I can help you communicate with the cruise line, whatever it is. I've got people in my back pocket like Tracy that we might not be able to do much, but we can do what we can to make sure that we get you to the next port, or at least get you home safely. Again, I always like to plug that.
I'm showing you something on the screen here, Mike, and I'm sending you this too that you could pop into the presentation. But
okay,
pro tip, anytime you are leaving our ship on a port day, as you're getting into the elevator to go to the disembarkation level, you will notice in the back of the elevator, we have the emergency port contact information, the disembarkation time, and the ship rebook time, all aboard 8:30 p.m. It's right there. You see it. Yep, I sent it to you. That information, and just take your phone, take a picture of it, and you're on a shore experience, something crazy happens. That phone number is actually the person at the port communicating with the ship, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we had a little issue or you're on our way back, whatever. But I think we're the only cruise line that actually has that information right there for you as you're coming off the ship. Just take a quick picture of it. It'll remind you of when you need to be back. And B, if you need to reach out to someone, emergency contact ashore there. So that's just a little pro tip. I have a picture of every one of those places I visited on this last sailing, and it's just an automatic thing now. When I'm leaving the ship in the elevator, take that picture before you step off.
That
Just
is a
so
great
you
tip.
got
I
that.
know
Yeah.
when we were in Europe doing the river cruises last year for the Christmas market, they don't have it because they don't have a real elevator. They got a little
Yeah.
3 level elevator. But
Yeah.
it is that number to the ship is listed in the little newsletter they gave us every day. And I just fold it up, put it in my backpack, and bring it with me just in case.
Yep.
But we were
Never
always
can
on
be too
a
sure.
guided tour from the ship or something like that. So we knew we were okay. But still, always when in doubt, make sure you have a way to communicate, because worst case, if you know you're not going to make it back, you can let them know what room number you are, and they can at least try to grab your passport, wallet, and other things you might have left in the safe or in your room and bring it down so that the agent that's sitting there at the dock waiting for
We'll
you
have that for you.
can give you that, so that at least you have stuff that you can then go to the next port. So it's always important to communicate with your ship, whether it's through a tour, whether it's on your own.
Right.
Great tip there, Tracy.
Yep. And my other personal pro tip is if you're off the ship in a foreign country that you are not a citizen of, have your passport on you at that time too. Because if something does happen and you need emergency services of any kind of sort, and maybe you're even unconscious or whatever, worst case scenario, you've got the ID right there. They know who you are. They know how to get in touch with the American consulate or whomever. And so that ID is really more important than any kind of driver's license or something like that. So,
We're
yeah.
just throwing out pro tips. Another one is
Pro
the STEP
tips.
program by the State Department.
Mm-hmm.
I always sign my clients up, but if you're traveling on your own or you're going somewhere, always sign up, even on a cruise. If you're going to foreign ports, you can sign up for the STEP program, which is a program that just lets the State Department know what countries you're in, where you're staying, if you're staying there. Every time we go to Cancun or in a foreign country, we're in Europe, we tell them, here's where we're planning to be, here's our itinerary, this is where we're staying pre and post cruise, so that if something happened, they know what Americans are in that country and where they're located. So if they need to evacuate us for any reason, they can. That's another reason to also have travel insurance, which premium travel insurance will also include some form of evacuation as well.
Another reason to work with a travel professional, because the average person doesn't even know about the STEP program. So
Yeah.
exactly correct. Yeah. But back
So,
to shore experiences. Yeah. I'll just one more that I really
okay.
enjoyed and appreciated was in the Azores, Punta de Garda. And it was another generic kind of experience, but we signed up to just like Santorini and Mykonos, the islands of the Azores are volcanic, and they are calderas actually. And on the largest
Mhm.
island that we were on, Saint Miguel, we went to the actual caldera area, and I just love the people in these destinations who have that full history knowledge, and just help you understand the ecology of it all and how it was all created millions of years ago. And then, of course, go through the local lore and the history and the primary exports and all that kind of fun stuff. I just in less than 3 hours, you just learn so much about these amazing ports. Did you know actually they make tea on the islands of the Azores? Never
Did
thought
I
that they
know
would
that?
make tea there, and they actually had oranges there at one point. I didn't know that that was the primary import area of oranges before Spain took over for the UK. So really just little tidbits that you pick up on these nice local tours. So really recommend that you try to do those. Even if you don't want to do something very specific or daring, at least take a generic educational experience in these ports if you can. Yeah.
Well, and most of them, like you said, you're in port for, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. So maybe you use up 3 hours to do a generic, your general tour, to get a kind of a lay of the land, basic history, and some information. Then when you get back, you go out and walk around for a little bit, explore on your own, see something maybe you want to go back and see more of because you didn't get to
Yep.
spend time there.
Yeah, and Virgin gets there earlier, stays there later, and in some cases we spend the night. And on my particular sailing, we spent the night in the Azores. So we got there about 7 p.m. We could get off the ship and walk through the town at night there that we were docked in. It was beautiful. The ship was all decorated up beautifully. And so then we had the whole full next day. We could leave early the next morning on our shore experiences. So yeah, look at those little details with the cruise lines you're booking with and see how long they're actually in port. A lot of them will say, we're having a fun day in this place, but they get there at 10 and they leave at 4. I mean, how much fun can you have at that, 6 hours when it's a bigger destination? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the categories of experiences that sailors can take a look at. There are 4 that I'm aware of. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I know there's daring, which is typically going to be zip lines, hiking, ATVs, things like that.
Right.
You've got cultured, which is like what you were mentioning with your walking tours, cooking classes, wine tastings, rum tastings, things of that nature. I know in Key West, they even have a cigar and rum. It's just not available the day I'm there. So I'm just doing the rum tasting. Um, but there's those that's a cultured one. Then we have relaxing, which is like the beach club. In the Med, you've got on Bimini, you got the cabanas, spa add-ons, or private getaways, or these smaller groups. And then finally, you have energetic, which is deep sea fishing. You've got some hiking through cliff sides, trails, and even aerial trams on some of the islands and some of the places. Those are just some of the few things that are listed within those. But when you go on Virgin's website, you can select between these categories, besides the multitude of destinations they have.
There's actually 2 more, Mike, and they don't always show up if we don't offer them in certain destinations. There's one
Okay.
called exclusive, and that's not in every destination. We have what we call exclusive shore things, and the one I actually have pulled up here in Dubrovnik is an enchanting island hopping by motorboat. That is just an exclusive type experience that only a small group of people get to do, and that we're the only cruise line that does it. And then there's another one, and you might not be able to find it in every destination, and it's called Richard's Shortlist. And these are things that Mr.
Forgot about
Branson
those.
himself has actually curated or done. And it's not in every destination, but depending on where you are, if you're checking out the Virgin website, there might be a list and a category says Richard's Shortlist. Click on that one and see what it is, because it's probably something pretty cool, and may require, a waiver. Because he likes to do some fun stuff. So yeah,
Well,
look out
I
for
know
those.
on some of the exclusive one back when early on in Virgin's first started sailing right after COVID,
Hmm.
in Monaco, they offered like a private Casino Royale tour, and there was also like a lunch at a palace. I remember those types of things in Nice and Marseille along the French Riviera there. There was a couple, and I totally forgot about those because I haven't seen them in all the places we're going. It's all 4 of the ones I've mentioned.
There's
And
another one
like
I
you said,
just found
it's
too, Mike. I just keep finding these. There's once in a lifetime. I'm actually looking in Corsica. We have a division called Once in a Lifetime, which is exploring some caves there too. So, and this one kind of crosses over Once in a Lifetime and also energetic. The categories, at least 6 or 7 now, depending on where you are. And like if you're just browsing through the shore experiences on our website, just click on a destination that looks kind of fun to you and see what we offer there. That could even help you decide where you want to go. I mean, it's really kind of fun just to see what we offer all around the world in our shore experiences.
no,
See what we got in North
it's all
America.
good information
Yeah.
because I always joke. We can, as a first mate, there's no, I try to keep up on what Virgin's doing, but there's so much going on at any given time. Just like with any other cruise line, new ships coming out, a couple of ships being delayed, and now all these cancellations and things like that, or like in Europe with the new visa program now being delayed from early next year to the end of next year. So there's
Yeah.
constantly updates, and so it's great to have Tracy on because even I don't see everything all the time, and
Well,
you're in there
I'm able to
playing
be honest with
around.
you. Yeah, we're constantly tweaking and adding and listening to our sailor input, listening to input from first mates. And so there may be times that we say, hey, we need to change this or add this or update this. So even as an employee, I don't always get all the information on all the changes. And so that's important just to get in there and see what's going on and find out if there's something new and different and exciting. And that's exactly why folks love a podcast like this. They love the other social activities that you're doing from your Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of activities that you got going on, because there's something happening and changing all the time. And we're a small cruise line, only 4 ships, but with that, we can listen and change and adapt and really be responsive to sailor input. And that's the key to keeping people happy. So yeah, I'm actually in Ibiza right now, looking at the 30 different shore things to do in Ibiza, and there's some fun stuff to do there. If you've never been there, Bohemian Nights at Cava Santa. Just looking at this picture, man, gastronomy, art, music, and nature all in one place. Sign me up right now. So get on the Shore Experience website here and just start scrolling through, and it might help you determine what sailing you want to choose, and then send Mike a note, say, sign me up for something going to Ibiza. I found this place and I want to go there. So
Yeah. Ibiza is quite. I went a long time ago when I was a lot younger for the clubs, and
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. But so are the other islands around there, and then even the French islands. Just there's so much to see and do, and it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is one of the sailings out of Barcelona that goes up into Nice, Marseille, those types of areas, so
hmm
that and even hit some of the islands, just because that's one of my favorite parts of Europe is that French Riviera and the Costa del Sol there, where Barcelona is in Spain.
I just found a Richards short list, because I told you it's not on every destination. It's in Palma de Mallorca, and the Richards list is on there. It's culture, and I can't even say this name, Valdemossa, Valdemossa, and it's Mallorcan culture. It's really, let's see what it's about here. I'm just kind of reading it on the fly here. Explore the narrow streets and shop before touring the whole area. A former royal residence and monastery was once the home of composer Chopin and writer George Sand, and you'll be treated to a short piano concert. And next, you'll stop at San Mirage residence for the panoramic view before heading back to the ship. So, very exclusive, a very beautiful photograph of a cliffside mansion here. And that's one of the Richard shortlist experiences that I bet some people never even heard of here in Palma de Mallorca. So, those are the things that you can just find by exploring the shore experiences on our website there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that actually brings us into our next topic, which is hidden gems or lesser known options, which is the Richards options or the exclusive tours that are one, not at every destination, but two, when they are, they're smaller groups are going to sell out pretty fast. So if you're interested in something like that, you're going to want to jump on it pretty quickly. And one sailor who didn't who did this on, I guess, on the ship. Um, she found this one in St. Lucia, and it's the Gross Piton hiking adventure and lunch in Ladera
That
on
sounds
St.
fun.
Lucia. She absolutely loved it. She said the views were amazing, and she said she had to earn it though because there was a lot of walking, about 2.5 hours of walking, and but you're rewarded with some amazing views. Then you have lunch at Ladera Resort, which I've sent numerous couples to for honeymoons. It's got some of the best views because it sits between the two pitons. And then afterwards, now the only downside is you got an hour and a half of driving each way. But I look at it differently. I look at it as a chance to view for an hour and a half the beautiful, lush, tropical forests and seaside cities of St. Lucia. Because St. Lucia is one of my favorite islands in the Caribbean. Little known fact, they actually um, grow, I think it's 60 or 70% of all bananas eaten in the UK
Right in
and
St. Lucia.
primarily in Europe is from there.
Yeah.
The US has Chiquita down, I think, in Panama. But St. Lucia provides a lot of bananas for the UK. And I tasted one once because I was on a tour there and we went into the field and took one. and they are way sweeter than what we get. They're
Oh,
smaller, sweeter, and
yep.
it tasted so fresh. It was amazing.
Has a lot to do with the soil they're growing in. Oh, there it is. St. Lucia's Banana Farm is actually a experience we have in St. Lucia. It's only it's 70 euros, which would be about $90 or something like that. 3 hours. So yeah, you can even get. Oh, and they got volcanic mud baths and sugar
Yeah,
meal
that's cool to do
meals.
too.
Yeah,
And then you
yeah.
can go
So
into a waterfall and rinse off.
yes, there's one, and I was noticing too, we are very big into accessibility. So even on our shore experiences, we have accessible activities for folks who may have
Yes.
mobility issues, and we are huge at making sure that they are not limited in what they can see and do if you have some mobility issues. So even if you're not in a fully accessible cabin or something like that, that's fine. But if you're someone who thinks that maybe I need some assistance and I can't quite do all the walking, look into the fully accessible or the mobility accessible shore
Yes.
experiences because we have those for you as well. Yeah, but man, St. Lucia looks great. I'm looking at all these great experiences. Beach bar hopping like a local. Sign me up. Catamaran sailing to the Piton. Is it Pitons? Pitons. Is that how you
Pitons.
say it?
Pitons. And
Pitons.
that's their local
Piton.
beer too. It's Piton beer.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Barbados has Banks beer, and then you've got Carib beer, which is across the Caribbean. But yeah, Piton beer, delicious beer.
Chocolate there too. We got it from bean to bar, the evolution of chocolate. So you can do chocolate and bananas in the same day. That would be a pretty good combo.
And one of
Yeah.
their big snacks is they like to do bread, which is slice of cheese that's been warm and toasted.
Hmm.
And that's one of
Hmm.
their like snacks that you have after going having a day at the beach.
Yep, I'm going to
It's
have to
really
sign up for
cool.
a St. Lucia. I got to look at the itineraries that do St. Lucia. Go ahead and
Out of
get these.
San Juan.
Sign me up, brother. This is great.
Another one that I think is really cool is back in Montenegro. It's the Savina Hills Wines and Views small group tour. It starts at $285 a person. You're like, wow, that's pretty expensive, but it's a small group, so it's limited. But here's the deal: you get a speedboat ride from where, and if I remember correctly, the ships are in tender there; they're not docked at an actual dock.
Yeah, I've
So
tendered
you,
in from there. I'm going to tell you a quick story about that. Sailing into Kotor is like going into Scandinavia. There's mountains on each side, and you're not in a mountainous region, but that part of the coastline there of the Adriatic, you're on some mountains. And we sailed right past two or three other cruise lines that had to tender from further out because our ships are smaller. We can get closer into the shallower port area, dock area, not dock, but port area. So our tender rides are shorter because these other bigger ships had to stop further out and they had to ride their tenders further in, which I was kind of cool. We just waved as we went by. But yeah, Kotor is a tender port, but it's a very quick and efficient process. It takes like 10 minutes to get off the ship and then to the shoreline, and you're going. But yeah, what were you saying about the experience there in Montenegro? Which one was that one
well,
again? I
the
want to look at it
experience.
with you.
So you start with a boat ride, and you visit the Blue Cave, and you also have a stop at the Savina Winery for snacks and a wine tasting, which sits actually in the Bay of Kotor. And so there's there. And then at the end of it, you actually get a chance to swim in the crystal clear waters there. And really cool is I've seen a lot of pictures, but there's a fortress that sits above the city that you can hike to as well. So if you want some epic Instagrammable moments, you can do that as well. But if you're looking for a small group with a little culture, a little fun where you get to swim and see some cool little things like the Blue Cave and swim in the water, but have that wine tasting as well. This is one that would be on the top of my list.
And I'll tell you, Kotor has a different feel than Dubrovnik and the other ports along that sea line. And then you're on to Corfu the next day. They are still more closely aligned with what used to be called the Eastern Bloc, more of the Soviet Union. And so you'll see the Cyrillic language, Cyrillic letters, and it's just a little different feel. Not that it's bad I mean, it's just like it's a different culture there from just a couple of hours up the coastline. So definitely, check these experiences out and all these destinations. But this Blue Cave and Fisherman's Village looks fantastic. But I also tried to walk up to that fortress you're talking about, and it was a little bit damp that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, pro tip: wear really good shoes in a lot of these ports that are ancient cities, as KOTOR is, because the ADA requirements of having really smooth walkways and things like that we have here in the States, they don't have in those parts of the world. And so there could be some uneven and even slippery areas exploring either on your own or with the scheduled tours and shore experiences. So good shoes, good walking shoes.
And that's why it's always
But that
important to
one looks
pack
great.
a packable and foldable down into the pocket a rain jacket, because you never know
Yes.
when it's going to rain, and throw it in your backpack and you're good to go. And now, as we wrap up here, Tracy, I think one of the questions I originally had for you, and I think you've answered it, and that is, what is, if you had only one sure thing to for a first time sailor, what would it be? And I think you've mentioned it, which is, if you're not quite sure what to do, take that general tour to get the lay of the land. So I think that would be one option. Is there something else that you might suggest for a first time sailor?
Yeah, if you will, here's what I would suggest. What appeals to you the most about a destination in general? Let's say you're going to plan a trip to New York City. If you're a theater person, find something that ties into theater. But for me, I'm maybe more of a food person, and so find something that ties into that. So there are shore experiences in every destination, I will venture to say, that has some sort of hook to it that will appeal to you. So don't overthink it. If something looks like it will appeal to you, read the description, reach out to Mike and say, hey, what do you think about this shore experience? He might be able to, add a little more personal insight, but don't overthink it. Keep it simple. And if you just can't decide on anything, take the general generic tour, because I promise you're going to learn something from that. And if there's enough time, you could do that early on, and that could trigger an idea to maybe do another experience later that day once you return. So, there's oftentimes those kind of options, but always try to immerse yourself as much as possible. Don't be that tourist, that someone who
Absolutely.
just walks around and takes pictures and doesn't really try to get to know the local people and their culture and their food and their experiences. That's what we really try to do on the shore experiences.
And last question for you as we wrap is, why is booking through Virgin make it seamless and elevated?
Yeah, we've got a very simple process, and we've only got 2,500 people on the ship, so it's not like there's a whole lot of people trying to crowd on or off at the disembarkation time for your shore experience. And we have a system in place that's very seamless. Typically, it involves just getting a simple number. You check in at the shore desk area. They'll give you a number. They'll call your number, lead you off the ship. You'll go straight to your guide, whatever it might happen to be. Seamless and simple and straightforward. And that's the way we try to do everything on the ship. We don't want to overcomplicate things. And if you have any feedback, we want to hear it. If you think we could do something better or differently, that's why we send you a survey every 10 minutes on our ship saying, tell us how we're doing and what can we improve. And we listen to that and we respond to it. And I think that's why we have such an efficient process now, is we've listened to our sailors over the past 3 or 4 years.
Awesome. Well, again, Tracy, thank you so much for your time, taking the time to join me and share your knowledge of shore things and your experiences. Um, I know, any sailor who chooses to do a Virgin shore thing, whether it's a short little 1 or 2 hour or a longer all day, is going to have an amazing trip.
It's always my pleasure, Mike. I appreciate you taking the time to help inform, educate, entertain your potential sailors and folks listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, so that they can get a real feeling of what they're signing up for and what we're all about. And you taking this time is really crucial to helping people make that booking with confidence, to know, A, they got a travel professional who knows what they're doing, and B, he's got the connections with the people that can help get all the information they need to make it a wonderful vacation if possible. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Of course, I love Virgin. I'm all in on the brand, and that's why it is my only preferred cruise partner with Sea and Sun, where we waive our fees. We give Sailor Loot to anybody that books through us. And so if that's on top of all the promotions that Virgin has, it's just a great company to work with, and always have worked with you, and being able to meet like Nathan and others this last week up in New York was great. And, feel like part of the Virgin family in a sense.
Yeah. You are a full part of what we're all about. I think Nathan enjoyed meeting you as well. So it's great that you got to hang out with the second big guy,
Yeah.
right behind our CEO, the chief marketing guy. So Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
again, Mike, for all that you do. We appreciate your support and your expertise as well.
Appreciate it, Tracy. Thank you. Sure, things aren't just excursions. They're a chance to connect with each destination in a way that feels just as thoughtfully designed as your time on board. From adventurous outings to cultural deep dives and relaxing beach escapes, Virgin Voyages makes sure every sailor finds their perfect fit. If you like this episode of Sailor Sessions, hit the like button, subscribe, and be sure to share with your fellow sailors. Be sure to hit the alert button as well so that you know when we drop new episodes. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, come join us at Virgin Voyages Insider Facebook group. It's where we share tips, updates, and connect with fellow sailors. All the details and links are in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in to Sailor Sessions, and until next time, smooth seas and scarlet nights.